I've never placed a wager or a bet since 2016. Yeah, it was.
It reminds me again, how much money did you lose?
It wasn't a lot of money.
Shock
Now
us.
I know how my money was being used. I have an idea.
How it was lost. Actually.
Yeah, it was lost.
How
Yeah.
it was lost.
You can imagine you been given pocket money, you save, and then fix odds and just disappear like that, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The man's role is to be a protector. Before, that meant him going to war. When you hear the village is under attack, you need to get your spear and follow the rest of the men where they're going. What does the man protecting the family now look like? Not even spiritually, like what does them protecting the family look like right now?
You see the
Going for
protections.
man.
But so to speak, I don't think there's any.
How much is enough?
Yeah.
And
Ruto said, enough is enough.
no,
I remember
No.
that.
enough money. Money can be enough. Yes, you can have enough money.
Yes.
That's a personal decision that you make.
It's a matter of perspective.
That for me, this is what is enough for me.
Agreed.
And if I get those ones, then I can tour the world.
Hi guys, welcome to More to Follow podcast. I am Corey, and on set I'll let my fellow hosts introduce themselves as well.
Owen, nothing fancy.
Oh,
You're Monica for this
my
episode.
Monica for this episode is Abba Gada.
Okay, and
I'm
Abagada
probably
on set.
saying that wrong, but this is the ancient Borana leadership system. So he was the head of the Adula Council. So for 500 years, the Borana religiously followed this system of ruling themselves because it kept them together in unity. And so it's just a way of saying democracy existed. Yeah.
So
It's like-
Abagada, guys,
Abgada.
and our guest,
Mr.
Mr.
Dad.
Mr. Dad.
Yes.
All right, I'll give a shout out to.
Yes. So as you can see, new space if you're joining us for the first time. If you're tuning in again or coming back, we are at Kaliwax, located at Visit Ngara. So please come check out the amazing works of art. Amazing owner, host, designer, fabricator, and so forth. So Kaliwax, Visit Ngara. Let's go.
Actually has really cool things.
Yeah.
Bags huko nyuma.
Yeah, on sale, by the way. You can check out their page on their on Instagram as kali.works. And then, you should be able to see some of their things from there.
With some of the best jumpers and a lot of Nairobi's history as well. So yeah.
That'll be cool. Before we proceed with the last question I asked in the previous episode, we're still on fatherhood and finances, right? The same topic. And I wanted to ask probably each one of you. We'll start with Mr. Dad. You said you're also in the finance industry, right?
Yes.
What's the best or the worst financial decision you've ever made?
Wow. I think I should go with the worst one.
Okay.
It's always good to it's always good to learn from some of these lessons. I think sometimes back after the Kibaki administration came into power, there was quite a bit of hype in the stock market. And so I went into the stock market and bought, I think, should I say the number of shares I bought for Mumia's Sugar? But upwards of 200,000 shares, not cash. And the price at then, I think I bought them at close to 40 shillings. So, okay, fine. I can see him looking at me and wondering, financial guru and also making such blood. So it's good.
Those are many. Hey.
Yes, you can imagine those days. So anyway, it's never recovered. I doubt it will ever recover because even if the price goes back to 40 shillings, you can see
Time value
there's
of
something
money.
time value for money, or something in finance world they call the holding period yield.
Yes.
So that will never be recovered. So anyway, it's
Wow.
it's a lesson. At times they looked blue chip companies at that point in time, but I think what we tended to ignore most, especially the people who jumped into some of these, and there are many of them, those Kenya, everything.
Yeah.
You find that there is the influence, the fact that there is a strong public ownership tends to create a bit of a challenge. And that's one thing that we had ignored because of what history had shown us. The history had shown us that even those ones with Kenya and public influence, they could still be able to perform very well. So anyway, good.
Okay.
So it's one of the worst decisions.
And I can understand. I mean, in every supermarket on the shelves was Mumia's sugar. So
yes, of course.
the house is probably Mumia's sugar as well.
And so it looked like a very promising kind of stock, but then it turned out to be, anyway, what it is now.
Okay.
Yes.
For me, I'll also go with the worst.
Right.
Financial decision was to pay for fixed odds. You know, this one's for betting. I was taught a lesson, man. This was that period. There was when Sport Pesa was Sport Pesa, just after we had finished high school, about 2016, nini. So now guys will come, you hear, this guy has bought a PlayStation, and he's bought a TV, and he started that PlayStation shop. How did he get the money? He just put 2.5. He got fixed odds.
Yeah.
The money tripled. I was like, okay, fine. Might as well. Whatever odds we were given, the complete opposite happened. So one team was supposed to win like 5-1. They were beaten 5-1. And that was by halftime. So
It was almost poetic. Poetic madness.
I've never placed a wager or a bet since 2016. Yeah, it was.
It reminded me again, how much money did you lose?
It wasn't a lot of money.
Shock
Now I
us.
know how my money was being used. I have an idea.
How it was lost.
Yeah, it was lost.
How
Yeah.
it was lost.
You can imagine you've been given pocket money, you save, and then fixed odds and just disappear like that, man. It's crazy. It was only 3.5.
Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's looking for USDs from an accountant. Really?
You see, we usually keep on telling them, but they never believe.
Oh, they never believe.
They never believe that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I like where he's been in the field clearly for a long time. Most of my financial decisions have been for sustenance. So I don't think I per se have had the proper thing to like have a worst experience. So mine would be the best. The best thing I've ever spent my money on is, so to speak, like an opportunity cost. The fact that now, same period, that I didn't get into AIM Global and those networking,
World
money,
Ventures,
pyramid
GNLD.
kind of schemes. Because I never, for
Hey,
the
we used
life
to
of
have GNLD now.
Yes.
for the life of me, I
You
could never
remember that,
understand. You know that one, you bring someone, call someone at work, bring someone, call someone.
It's
Another.
called network marketing.
That
as
one.
They, as they put it now.
Yes,
Oh, that's the.
That's
the
the
term.
term.
Yes.
Did you do public likes?
No.
Did you?
No.
Okay.
But it seemed very lucrative at the time. I don't know if it still is, or I've never, up until this point, and I do also work in the finance industry, I've never gotten how it is that it functions or works. So the best thing I'd say for me is that, I never got
You've
into
never
that.
got into it.
I went to a couple of meetings and things, and it never made sense nonetheless. But I made my best financial decision thus far.
Sorry, let me just digress a bit.
by all
You've reminded me, I was invited for one of these World Ventures things in town. This
Apart ACK, the church.
no, it wasn't the ACK church.
Kenya
It
Cinemax
was,
hapo around somewhere hapo
hey,
juu.
wamekuwa na events mingi. They keep moving. No, this was this hotel for this Ferdinand Waititu guy. The one that's in town opposite Equity. Apo near Family Bank as well, near Jivanji. There's I think after 40 or something.
Clarion
No,
Hotel.
40 something.
After
40.
40.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes,
It's
after
like a
40.
tall building.
The slim, tall building.
Yeah.
It's after 40.
Yeah, after 40. So these guys come and they're explaining all the benefits at if you're a World Ventures person and you've invited XYZ, you get all these sort of discounts. So now, the person I was with at the time was drinking these things up. Like them, they were super excited. And to some degree, I also got caught up in the history of everything because, we were talking about traveling and putting aside money and stuff like that until this guy sold himself, because even him now, it's like he second guessed his product. And for me, that was like the aha moment. I'm like, no, wait. Because he's clicking. And then he reaches expedition to Joburg, 44,000 shillings. Then he was like, So
Even
I'm
sold
like,
himself,
wait,
was like, wait.
when you don't believe this, and then they tell you the things that you get, very kidogo. What's excluded? Air ticket, visa, lunch
Wow.
and dinner, park fees. So what are you paying
Practically
for?
the
It's
entire
just
trip.
bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast, yeah.
It's like, okay. Yeah. You can imagine we fought after because this lady is like, now we can go to Joburg for 44,000. And I'm like, madam. Anyway, back to
Fair
you.
enough. My experience would be, there's a time,
Best or worst?
it's my...
Medium.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. You will judge from the story. I was working in real estate. This was when I was much younger, when I was starting out my career. Marketing in real estate, I was doing both sales and marketing, and I was getting really good commissions. And I think after 3-4 months after selling a few apartments, my commission alone, leave alone, my salary came to like half a meter. That's the first
Sorry?
time. That's the first time I got that. But what's wrong? I got such a lump sum amount, and I didn't know what to do with my money. What I was taught is unapea mzazi. So unalena nikirudisha tu mkono, I'm like, shika hii naweza kuinua, shika, I can give you this. I can't tell you how that money went, but I think now I know what to do with the money so that I have something to keep. I paid for fees. I gave my mom a bit. It was such a huge chunk. Na mimi Kenya najua unapewa pesa unarudisha mkono.
I think that's fair. I think
It
that
was
would
good,
be a
but
great
then
experience in my
I could do
in my
something. I
opinion.
would do something different.
mean, you were
when I
young,
get the
so-
money.
Yeah, you don't value helping your parent.
I do,
Yes,
but I
so
think
to
I
me it
would
sounds
have.
like a good idea.
Yeah.
It does.
Yes, it was a best situation.
Yeah.
I feel like if I did it differently, I would have had like a long term.
To help them better.
Yes.
More sustainably.
Yeah, because now it's just ilikuja na ikaenda.
It was a
Assuming
once-off.
if things don't go, you see, in the finance, you also understand, like he was saying, things that booms, recessions, rises and drops. Whatever you could have done, could have worked out, could still be here, could not have been here.
Yes.
Sometimes.
It was not a sweet
So
deal.
I think it was okay. It's money well spent if you look at it.
All right. From the last episode, we left it at how has the role of a man in the family as a father changed since. How has it changed, especially with now women empowerment being a thing? Now that women can actually support themselves, they can actually provide for themselves. How has it changed for the man, and whether the role for the man has changed? I'll start with you, Mr. Dad.
Okay.
Okay, to me, I don't think the role has changed.
It hasn't.
It
I
hasn't.
agree.
The role hasn't changed.
Okay.
Because human beings have not changed. They still have the same basic needs. We have
Yeah.
the need for knowledge. We have the need for social protection. We have the need for food. We have, all those basic needs have remained basic needs. And if you look at the role in the past, it still remained the same. And we all hunger for knowledge. I want to believe even people who are watching the podcast are primarily people who are hungry for getting to know more. And that is why probably they are here today to listen to what we are saying. So the needs have remained. So the roles have not changed. The method and the mechanics used or the tools used to meet those needs is what has changed. And so the roles remain largely the same to my understanding, but maybe the way they are being met, what is required to be done is slightly different. And maybe even when you look at the women in the tradition, it's not like we talked about provision. They are the ones who tilled the land. Nowadays, they don't till the land. They go and teach, they go and treat, they go and work in offices. It's the equivalent. That's the modern day land. Anyway, that's my thought, that the roles have not really changed, because it's the same human being with the same needs and stuff like that. But in the world that we are living, the dynamics or the mechanics or the tools that are used are slightly different. And that is what we tend to confuse at times and brings a lot of problems to everyone.
You said in the previous episode when the man's role before was the man's role is to be a protector. Before that meant him going to war. When you hear the village is under attack, you need to get your spear and follow the rest of the men where they're going. What does the man protecting the family now look like? Not even spiritually, like what does them protecting the family look like right now?
You see the
Going for
protections.
Mandamano.
But so to speak, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's a big difference, because let's say, for example, before it was out and out war combat. Right now you have, it still is physical. For example, if we're living in a flat, an apartment, you're hearing the door latch moving. Who's going to check if there's something?
Okay.
Bingo. So I don't think it's greatly changed. It's just the same. The art of protection, because if you're talking about physical and social protection, now that the protection that doesn't come from, again, financial status, because the goalpost, so to speak, has changed. Okay. If you're talking about physical protection because of our physical attributes, and testosterone, it'll still be the same. When, say, for example, give or take, I'll ask as an example, we're walking in town, you don't like something, or someone runs, snatches your phone, or something of the sort, you'll still look to your person, as you stated, to do something about it. So I don't think the rules have, and that when it comes from protection, have changed.
It reminds me of a clip I saw. This was happening in Mwiki, sides for Kasarani. These guys have come from a date. They've been dropped by the Uber. They're walking towards the gate. And then now the Buddha guys come, and then they have a gun and everything. Yeah. And let me tell you, this guy was moving with all the moves he's ever seen in movies. Yeah. Just throwing hands and everything. And the lady was nowhere to be seen. Like, immediately those guys came, she dashed inside and closed the door. So this guy had to fight these people off, and he actually fought them off. And they ended up just going and everything, and he went back in. He had only sustained some cuts from the knives and everything. But so
it's similar. You've reminded me we almost robbed in January. I was with my uncle and my cousin and my aunt. So we had come from dinner, and dinner, and then some of us stayed for some drinks, but it was early because it was a weekday. So my aunt had gone to sleep in the car. She was been feeling up all too well. But now, since we were being dropped from one and then people were picking the Ubers, she had sat down. So these guys I hadn't noticed them from the corner of my eye. I hadn't noticed them yet. So as we were going to get into one Uber, because we're all going to the same place, they tried to come and snatch the bags. She sat down, like we were telling her the story the following day. She couldn't remember. We only kept the bag because I miraculously thought to trip the guy, because he had read, like it was instinct. And by the time, so it was take the bags, and then now we were ready to, whether it's fight or protect ourselves, like it was a first instinct. And then we remembered, oh wait, where is auntie and so I don't think it's changed.
All right, fair enough. Maybe let me ask this specific question. When it comes to finances for a dad, I think what I'd want to know is how best can they prepare when it comes to budgeting, saving, if they need, not if they need to, how would saving look like for a dad? Because I think the expenses go up from having another individual that you need to take care of. I'm assuming you're married, so you also have a wife in this situation, a kid on the way. What does budgeting look like in the case of a family setup?
Okay, in case of a family setup, I think certain things are fairly standard or expected. What you may not have is maybe the exact amounts. But say, for example, when you get married, you are almost sure that before long, you're going to be having a third person. I want to imagine that even before you agree, you get into marriage, you have discussed the number of children that you want to have.
Okay.
So say, for example, you have agreed on 4 children. So you must sit down and say, okay, fine, maybe which kind of schools do we want to see our children going to? Then you can be able to tell what kind of school fees you'll be looking at. We probably, I remember a gentleman, a friend of mine, when we were leaving campus, and was trying to woo this lady to just saying, okay, fine, can you marry me? Then one Saturday, they came to Muthaiga, Muthaiga estate there, and walked the lady, you know, they are walking. Yeah? Walk the lady around the place. Those days they were now Buddhas. And then they went back to campus. And the lady was very convinced. This guy looked like, yes, in another few years, he will be owning a house in Muthaiga. Okay, they've never owned a house in Muthaiga up to now. But at least in his budgeting, he had budgeted for a house in Muthaiga. So some of these things actually you can be able to predetermine. And what happens is that the cost structure of the family keeps changing and probably most of the time keeps enlarging. And so for you, what you need to do is to sit down then and ask yourself, what am I able to do with whatever it is that I have? And okay, maybe I'm biased because I'm coming from the financial services world. There are products, all kind of vehicles that can help you try and navigate through this time, including things that can be serious shocks into your financial plan. Because as time goes by, there are many things that can happen which you don't really plan for 100%. And even when you plan for 100%, they could go beyond whatever it is. So you also try and plan for those shocks, because you can be sure of one thing, they'll come. And so when they come, then you need to at least have a bit of buffer. I know Kenyans, we are accused of not savings. We are not known to be for people who save a lot. But maybe one thing that we are obsessed with is land, especially. And even if I did not save, but I bought land, that to me, to a large extent, it's a very good savings of some sort. Because it helps you in two things. Capital appreciation, which helps you beat inflation. Because one of the greatest thing that ruins your financial plans in a family is the animal called inflation. It's not so much the number of babies who are coming as to how the economy is moving and the inflation rates are very high.
And inflation adjustment.
When they are very high, so you find that, yes, I had planned for 100,000, was enough to take care of my family, but now I need 300,000. You see, when you're looking at the what would I call them? I'm trying to avoid things like macroeconomic factors because maybe the audience may not understand them. But when you look at the rise in cost, which is what they would refer as inflation, the rise in income is not the same. So you find that disparity is what comes to actually disorganize what your plans look like at the very basic thing. Then the other things would be things like, say, for example, ailments, especially long-term terminal illnesses. Those ones take a toll. And maybe other things you could have. And these ailments could be for the immediate family or maybe for the extended family. So you could have those ones coming to disrupt your plans. There are ways around it, but at times, if they are extended for a long period of time, they really put in a shock into whatever plan that you have. But budgeting, which is primarily planning, it's even very godly. It is repeated so many times in the Bible, such that you realize that this is to plan, to have order, and which is also a role that you would expect from man. It's something that is very important in a family. Whether the order is in terms of money, which is what is the financial plan, or the order is in terms of the where the family will live and things like those ones, that one is actually very important and necessary and helps you in terms of navigating through the shocks. One thing you have to remember, money will never be enough. It sounds a statement that many people like talking about, but there's always a question: how much is enough?
Yeah.
And
Ruto said, "Enough is enough."
No,
I remember
enough money. Money can be enough. Yes, you can have enough money.
Yes,
that's a personal decision that you make.
It's a matter of perspective.
For me, this is what is enough for me.
Agreed.
And if I get those ones, then I can tour the world. And I think these are the things that we at times don't remember to do, or to value what maybe is valuable in our lives, which I like the current generation. They talk about experiences, which is not how as we were socialized. As we were socialized in materialism, getting more and more and more and more and more and more. And the question is, more until when? Yes, you can
And
only
what are you
sleep
doing
on
with the
one
said
bed
more,
at
like
any
we were having
particular
this
time.
morning?
You cannot, even if you had very big bed which was equal to the entire house corner to corner, you can only be only one section of that bed. You cannot be in all the spaces
It's
at the same
fascinating.
time.
It's a very fascinating way.
Good. Uh-huh.
You had a question?
Yes. Straight into the question. So, like he's continuously, progressively shown us or told us. You remember when you're asking how provision has changed? The provision itself hasn't. It's the metric for which we are judged a provision by. That's the difference. Before, like for example, in the example Mr. Dad gave, the man would provide the land, and the family unit or the women or the others would till on the land. It doesn't take. It takes into account the what do you call it? The effort put in. Whereas now, the metric is financial. So because everyone, I think, especially in Kenya, from my point of view, everyone is trying to survive and sustain. That a lot of the things are being reduced to how much money I can put on the table. Comfort is being attached a money component. Happiness is being attached a money component. Family is being attached a money component. Whereas for those ones, there's a lot more that goes into that. But because first we need to be sustainable first. That's the thing. So it's not that the provision aspect has changed. It's just how we look and talk about it.
Okay.
So now, because he mentioned something that I was curious about when he mentioned the rise of income and the rise of inflation and the rise of cost. Because what you've been describing is something I've been going through. Like if I can compare when we joined in 2021 and where I was in 2024, and I'm seeing that the inflation did rise quite faster than
The level of income.
the amount of income you're getting. And I was noticing, like for example, in Kenya, a lot of people are trying to put extra funds in like financial instruments, MMFs and the likes. How is it that you're able to encounter or counteract the fact that now the rise in inflation is higher than the returns you're getting in that particular year? So meaning, and when you're looking at it in a wholesome view, you are tentatively making losses whether you're saving or not. How is it now? Where do we go on from there?
While sustaining your family.
Yeah, while sustaining a family.
I think the most important thing is there are so many products or many kind of let me call them products that people use for purposes of maybe generating even income out of them, so that then they can be able to sustain their families. So there is maybe the main thing, which is employment. For some others is for it's business, but at the end of it all, you realize that everything tends to also have a certain kind of lifespan. So as business grows, then maybe yes, your needs are also growing, and they may not be able to match, but so you find that yes, you need something else to augment your income, and this is what you need to actually look at. The choice is what is supposed to be informed by probably two factors you need to look at. The first factor being to preserve what you have put in.
Okay.
You see, that is capital preservation. You see, if I go to my decision, the worst decision that I made, there is the money I put in. Yes.
Yes.
I needed to put in a vehicle that I'm sure that money will never be lost, because there are many vehicles available. And even at that point in time, there were many vehicles that were available. If I had applied, say, the same amount of money to some land in Kitengela, now I would probably be a billionaire. You see, now that's the situation.
Yeah.
But then again, so capital preservation becomes a very important thing. So I'll never lose my money. Then you sit there and ask yourself, in an economy like ours, where we are battered by all manner of things, the shilling weakening, and I don't know where else do I look for? So in that vehicle also, I'm looking at something that will be yielding a return that is higher than the inflation rate. And in this inflation rate, I should also put into the aspect of what affects it. So what will be affecting the inflation rate will be things to do with even the exchange rates, the weakness in our shilling, and things like those ones. So you want to also put that into consideration. I know in Kenya we don't have a culture of consulting most of the time. So you'll find that I'll do it my own way, or I'll ask my friend here who probably will not even be schooled in those matters. And so we find ourselves doing more or less the same kind of thing, and remaining in this area whereby we have invested not because it was the right thing to invest into, but because that's what my friends are doing, which unfortunately, that's what you guys, I heard you talk about a bit of, the way you get assimilated into all those things of, I don't know what, marketing, and I don't know what. This is how you bleed the ground for people who want to con you, because then they come up with a concept that looks very nice, very lucrative. So you've got to always keep those two things in mind, that I should be able to be getting a return that is higher than what the inflation is, so that the gap between the inflation and the return I'm getting is what I would consider to be my real income, or the income that is disposable or available to me. And then that my capital is still there. Nothing has happened to it. And preferably, it is growing or appreciating as the prices keep changing. So these are the things to put in mind. But anyway, personal financial management is a bigger thing. And yes, it's something that one can consult and just be guided in terms of what you need to do. There's also something that I heard him talk about, although maybe it did not come out very clearly as a question, the issue of, say, for example, I have an asset here that I want to acquire, but my income, by the time I finished saving, the price of the asset has also gone up. So then how do I manage that? And that's the whole genesis of the SACCOs in the country. Yes, not so much as investment vehicles to give me a return, but as vehicles to help me get a lump sum, cut that growth. You see, when the prices are going up, if I buy, then that means I've locked in that price. So whether the price go up, as the prices are going up, I'm enjoying a capital appreciation.
Yes.
But then that capital appreciation need not be lower than the cost of my debt. And that's where, you see, when the SACCO come and cap their interest rate, is actually to help you that. But now I sound like I'm marketing SACCOs. But anyway, I said it's larger. The whole aspect of personal financial management, it's larger than maybe we can discuss it
in this
than investment, but it is important.
Okay. I have two questions. Maybe we can address them in the next episode. The first one is, how do we tie that? Because there's you as the father, but now how does that look practically on a day-to-day with now your wife, with now your kids, and now the plan? And then has there been ever an instance where you've had to actually physically protect your family? Like I'm actually curious.
Like, you know what?
I'd like to think you should be knowing.
Honestly, the things I've learned in the last episode and in this episode. So
yes, I think this has been, instances of physical.
Let me stop you. I don't think, because I can see Moses is signaling us time, our production manager. So we can address this in the next episode. Because I also want to ask about kids and money. Have you learned anything from your dad in terms of how to save and how to invest as well?
Fantastic.
I'd be keen to see how the other dads can
also learn. So cliffhanger for the next episode, guys.
All right. In the meantime, please share, subscribe to
and visit Ngara.
Comment, suggest, all of it.
And if you have questions, we can ask Mr. Dad as well. Feel free to leave it in the comment section. We can address it in our other episodes. Other than that, I think we can say it's a wrap until the next episode. There's more to follow.
Choose.
Bye,
Thank you.